Hello and welcome to Areva Martin in real time. I'm Avi Bernard in for Areva Martin today. Here's what you might have missed. Walt Disney Parks and Resorts today is suing Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and his handpicked oversight board, accusing the Republican 2024 presidential prospect of weaponizing his political power to punish the company for exercising its free speech rights. President Joe Biden today brushed off concerns about his age and sagging approval rating, saying voters will have to judge whether or not I have it, quote unquote, in his first public comments addressing his 2024 re-election bid. And in her first remarks since her running mate announced their re-election bid, Vice President Kamala Harris blasted the U.S. Supreme Court and Republican lawmakers who are restricting access to reproductive health care across the country in a speech at her alma mater, Howard University. Kamala Harris said, quote, "These extremist so-called leaders would dare to tell us what is in our best interest. Well, I say I trust the women of America. I trust the people of America. So don't get in our way, because if you do, we're going to stand up, we're going to organize, and we're going to speak up, and we're going to say we're not having that, we're not playing that," close quote. Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont said yesterday that he would forego another presidential bid of his own and instead endorse President Joe Biden's re-election. The leading progressive, who was Biden's chief rival in the 2020 Democratic presidential primary, told the Associated Press that he would do everything I can, quote unquote, to see the president re-elected. In blunt and at times emotional testimony, E. Jean Carroll took the stand today in her civil lawsuit against Donald Trump, accusing him of rape, saying of the alleged incident that, quote unquote, "my whole reason for being alive in that moment was to get out of that room." Carroll, a magazine columnist, has accused Trump of sexually assaulting her in a dressing room of luxury department store Bergdorf Goodman in the mid-1990s. She's suing him for battery and defamation in a trial that began yesterday in Manhattan federal court. Trump has denied the allegations, saying the incident, quote unquote, never happened, and that she has perpetuated a hoax. A lot of hoaxes happening with Trump always. Everything seems to be a hoax. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and his allies are rallying to convince key GOP holdouts to support their proposal to raise the nation's borrowing limit as a summer default deadline looms, and they have actually passed that in the last couple hours or so. We're going to talk about that. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer maintained Democrats' position that they will not negotiate over the debt ceiling with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, despite calls from Senator Joe Manchin to do so. And Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley says she sees a federal role in the debate over abortion rights, but stops short of endorsing a national ban on the procedure in a speech Tuesday at the headquarters of a leading anti-abortion group. Nikki Haley is the former governor of South Carolina, and in our first hour, we do have a couple of gentlemen from the great state of South Carolina to discuss Nikki Haley's comments and the other topics, the other news of the day. We have Isaac Wilson, who's a Democratic strategist and chair of the Democratic Party of Florence County, South Carolina. And we have Derek Quarles, political and social activist. They will be joining us when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Here comes the brand new flavor in your head.
Race, social justice, sports, politics, art, music, culture. We do it all on the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show. If you're not tuning in, then you are definitely missing out. It's the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show, weekdays from 2 to 4 only on unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580.
Like a brand new flavor in your head.
Is the pen mightier than the sword?
They say the pen is mightier than the sword. At KBLA Talk 1580, we not only have a lot to talk about, we have a lot to write about. Politics, relationships, business, empowerment, and culture. The all-star roster at KBLA Talk 1580 has you covered.
That's what it's all about.
Be sure to follow us on all our socials for our latest book releases, op-eds, essays, and commentaries from our hosts. And, of course, download the KBLA 1580 app as we strive to remain your most trusted, credible, and reliable source for the issues you care about. This is unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
What up, baby?
Tell me I'm the boy that girl. You are young, gifted, and black.
I'm young, gifted, and black.
KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
Hey there, I'm Jared Hill, president of the National Association of Black Journalists of Los Angeles, and I just want to say thank you for the benevolent $10,000 donation and scholarships for the next generation of black journalists.
And I'm Haywood Galbraith, photojournalist and founder of the Minority Photojournalism Institute. Thanks, KBLA, for your generous $10,000 scholarship gift to help us train the next generation of black photojournalists.
Congratulations to all the students who will benefit from the scholarship dollars raised at our Black History Month luncheon, honoring black legends in LA media. When we come forward at KBLA Talk 1580, we're bringing everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us.
Access granted.
In a survey conducted by the public opinion research firm Eviderus, KBLA Talk 1580 consistently emerged as the station of choice for black audiences in the Los Angeles media market and beyond. The survey also revealed that the vast majority of black audiences are concerned about the lack of black-owned media and are more likely to listen to talk radio that focuses on issues that impact the black community. For some reason, the other talk stations haven't quite figured that out.
If you think about KFI, well, KFI only has like a 3% black listenership. 3%. So there's a good 97% out there to support a station like KBLA.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. Your black. Your black.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at KBLA 1580.
Follow the leader.
Are you ready?
The station leading the way with exclusive interviews,
Follow the leader.
stimulating conversation, and intellectual discourse that empowers, enlightens, and informs.
Follow the leader.
It's Areva Martin in real time. I'm Avi Bernard in for Areva Martin today, and we are joined by Isaac Wilson, Democratic strategist and chair of the Democratic Party of Florence County, South Carolina, and Derek Quarles, political and social activist. So grateful to have you both here, and especially because a little later on, I do want to talk about y'all's former governor, Nikki Haley. But I want to start with the job that she is vying to get. She is trying to replace Joe Biden. She is trying to become the Republican nominee. But President Joe Biden today brushed off concerns about his age. He's running for re-election. He put out a video yesterday saying he's going to be running for re-election. And today he made his first comments. And he says it's up to the voters to judge whether or not I have it. And the president has accomplished a lot in his in the first 2.5 years of his presidency. So, Isaac, let's start with you. What do you think of the president's comments today and about him potentially clearing the field? I mean, we have one of the Kennedys, one of the lesser known and call them eccentric Kennedys, running for president, and Marianne Williamson, who I don't think anyone really considers a threat. So the field's basically been cleared. But what do you think about the president's re-election prospects and about the video announcement yesterday and his words today?
I thought that his video was on point, that he has done a lot to battle for the soul of America. Everybody can say, what they want about his age. They can say what they want about he hasn't done anything. But when we look at what he's been able to accomplish, when we talk about prescription drugs, we talk about climate, we talk about energy, when we talk about even tackling student loans, and that's been held up by a conservative court. I think he's done a lot to move this country forward. It's been 3 years. Let's give the man a break. He has more to do, and that's why he's running for re-election. His age should not be a problem, because if Donald Trump wins, Donald Trump at the end of 4 years will be 80 years old. So it doesn't matter about the age. Rather, he's competent to stand and face the American people and fight for the issues that they see that are very, very important is what's most important. And he's done that in the last 3 years.
Derek Quarles making your inaugural appearance here on Areva Martin Real Time. Glad to have you here. What are your thoughts on the president's words today and his video yesterday and his re-election prospects?
Glad to be here. I feel just a little bit different than my brother Isaac, who's on the opposite side of the state than I am. I voted for Joe Biden last time, and I supported Joe Biden last time, and I'm not exactly sure this time around if I will be supporting Joe Biden or not. I had to say yes or no. There's no other candidate right now who has persuaded me one way or another that I'm going to support them either. But I think, as Isaac mentioned, that Joe Biden has done a lot, and he has a lot more to do. And I absolutely agree with that statement. But the thing I'm most concerned about is the student loan debt forgiveness that so many Americans want to see come to fruition. 26 billion Americans applied for student loan debt forgiveness across 50 states. And so that says a lot about what people in this country want to see happen. And especially when it comes to voting in the upcoming election. I was on social media last night after Joe Biden posted his video on Twitter and just reading through the comments. And a lot of the people were talking about student loan debt forgiveness. And it wasn't just Black people. It was Black, it was white, it was Asian, it was Hispanic. And so across the board, I think this is an issue that people really want to talk about and that people really want to see discussed. Among all the other things that he's done, he's passed a lot of energy bills that are going to that are impacting us in a very in a way that Republicans deem a threat to their livelihood. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm not a yes on Joe Biden, but I'm not a no either.
Okay, so you're saying you're not a yes or a no on Joe Biden, you're undecided. So if you didn't vote for Joe Biden in the coming election, you mentioned that no other candidate has really caught your eye yet, but are you thinking more RFK Jr.? Are you thinking more your former governor Nikki Haley? Where are you leaning towards? It's not going to be with Joe Biden.
It's certainly not Nikki Haley. That's Isaac's buddy, not my buddy. But again, I just haven't heard from anybody yet. And again, Joe Biden could come in 2 months or 3 months on the road. And I understand that the court is holding up the decision right now in terms of like what's going to happen with student loans. But I think that's going to be a huge determining factor for me. But I haven't seen anybody yet. And I'm always going to vote, right? And so there's going to be a candidate that I'm going to choose eventually. And I don't know who that is just yet.
Okay, yeah, I just have to push back a little bit because I know you said that the court is holding up that student loan forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
So what else would you have Joe Biden do? I mean, the Senate is not going to do anything. The House is not going to do anything. He passed an executive order, and the Republicans, as it was mentioned earlier, the Republicans are holding it up. And so what else could Joe Biden do? I mean, you understand, it's not completely up to him. We do have a system of checks and balances, and sometimes those checks and balances come in forms of partisanship. And Republicans, if they're in a position to block something that Joe Biden does, if they don't like it, they're going to do that, regardless of how much of the country, yourself included, is in favor of him doing that. So what else would you have Joe Biden do differently to make sure that student loan debt relief is passed?
So when Joe Biden was on the campaign trail, he touted his relationship and his ability to work across the aisle to get things done. And while he's been able to do that, I think that, and we know that this is a Republican strategy to stop Joe Biden and to even like impact his approval ratings. We know that to be, factual. However, I believe, and this is my personal belief, I believe that Joe Biden has, I think that he has the ability to do more. And like in terms of like convincing folks and working across the aisle, because what I've seen happen a lot is that Joe Biden has been working and negotiating with Republicans on issues that are important to them, but when it comes to us needing to negotiate, I really hadn't seen that in return. And so I would like to see more negotiations, more conversations around like what's important to us.
Okay. I mean, I would disagree in terms of the Build Back Better bill that he vehemently worked toward getting passed. And it was, obviously 90% Republicans that were holding that up. And then you have Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema holding it up as well. Mm-hmm. And in that bill, I mean, it's just about everything that Democrats care about. And so yeah, I mean, I think we don't always see what is done behind closed doors. Sure. And, it is really difficult to get anything done, and especially when you have the Republican Party who is going to do anything they can, just even if it's detrimental to the American people, doing whatever they can to make sure that he is not a successful president, just so he's not reelected. It doesn't matter if the legislation that he proposes is good for people, even their own constituents, even Republicans. If it's a win for Joe Biden, Republicans don't want it.
Sure.
But let's talk about his running mate, Kamala Harris. She talked about the Supreme Court and their restricting access to reproductive health. What do you think of Kamala's comments, and do you think that that she is the potential, heir apparent if, let's say, Joe Biden were to get elected? Do you think that Kamala would be the favorite to be president, to be the Democratic nominee 4 years from now, Isaac?
I don't know where I stand at with Kamala Harris.
I'm just laughing. I'm just laughing because if you're listening to us and you're not watching us on YouTube, then you weren't able to see the hesitation in Isaac's face, and so go ahead, Isaac.
I don't know if she's the person to replace Joe Biden. I'll say that. I'm not there yet. I do think that she's come along in the past 6 or 7 months with some strong speeches. When she was in Tennessee, this abortion bill standing, there's no better person to talk about abortions than a woman, but let alone a Black woman. And so she's been able to get that message across to some Democrats that understand why this is important. She's even hit some Republicans that I know that are saying, hey, Kamala is doing the thing when we're talking about these speeches when it comes to abortion. She just has to, I don't know, it's a trust factor with me and Kamala Harris. I don't think I trust her enough yet to say that she could be president of the United States.
What is it that you don't trust about her?
Her ability, I think I agree with Derek in a sense of their ability to work across the aisle. She just literally came from the Senate. Literally just came from the Senate. And it's like she has no stroke in the Senate. She has no stroke to keep Joe Manchin civilized. She has no stroke to keep Chuck Schumer from not running off at the mouth. It's just, I don't trust her ability to lead an entire country when she can't lead a bunch of senators in a chamber.
Okay. So a couple of things, two things I want to address about what you said. So Joe Manchin, we know, is in West Virginia, and he has to kind of walk this line, right? Because he is, the people voting for him, he's getting elected by Republicans. And so he has to win them over. And so he can't just be super left. He has to kind of have this portrayal of someone who is fighting against the Democrats and against the super progressive wing. He can't be seen as a liberal, right? And so even if I do think that he has views that are more centrist at heart, and so it's not a stretch for him to do these things. But the other thing is, I just find it fascinating how we as Democrats hold our party to standards that Republicans never do, right? So no one on the Republican side is saying, well, you know what, I wish Donald Trump would do more of, work with Democrats, reach across the aisle and get some bipartisan support. They want him to own the libs. That's all they want him to do, is to be an asshole and to just be a jerk and get like these cultural causes going their way. The CRT and the anti-trans legislation, all the things that Republicans are against. They don't care if Democrats cooperate with them. Why do you think that is, Derek? Why do you think it is that us as Democrats, we always hold our side to a standard that Republicans don't even care about?
Yeah, and you just said it. They don't care. Republicans don't care. All they care about is partisanship. They care about the Republican Party. And so if Donald Trump tomorrow went out and said, which he's essentially saying this, but let's go out and murder 100 kids, I guarantee there's going to be somebody that's a Republican that's out ready with their gun, ready to go and shoot a kid because Donald Trump said do so. In the Democratic Party, from my experience personally, we seem to care about not just the party, we care about people. We care about the heart of people, the minds of people, the souls of America, right? And so that's the reason. Like we care and we want to see people doing well, and we want to work across the aisle. We want to work with Republicans. We don't care. I mean, it's not that we don't care. It's that we care more about the issues as opposed to the party.
Yeah, but in that same token, if I may, in that same token, right now we don't have control over the House and the Senate. Even when we had control of the House and the Senate, in some major things, we still needed 10 Republicans. Mm-hmm. So you still have to, in some part, have some kind of bipartisanship to make things work. And the ability for us not to be able to do that is crazy. Republicans can find 10 Democrats go work with them, but we can't find 10 Republicans come work with us. That's crazy.
Well, I think it depends on what you're talking about. I mean, I don't know that they can find 10 Democrats to go with them on anti-abortion legislation or some of the major things they're proposing. I don't think that any Democrats.
Yeah, it would depend. You're right. It would depend on what the topic is. You're right about that.
But well, no, go ahead. You wanted to interject, Derek?
Just real quickly, you should also look at the number of the Democrats who have left the Democratic Party in the last couple of months and went to the Republican Party in the state legislatures across the country. We've had like 4 or 5 people to denounce their membership as a Democrat and become Republicans. And in my opinion, if you look at the way they were voting before they switched parties, they were Republicans anyways, and they ran as a Democrat to get elected in those particular districts. And now they're living their truth. And so in that same respect, like Joe Manchin should live his truth. Either he's going to be a Democrat or a Republican.
Well, I mean, I think Joe Manchin is so much better than any alternative we're going to get out of West Virginia. He's going to vote with us most of the time. He's going to vote for our judges. He's going to vote for our Supreme Court justices. I mean, what's the alternative? Shelley Moore Capito is the other senator in West Virginia, and she's not going to vote with us on anything. If you don't have Joe Manchin in there, you're going to have some other super hard right-wing Republicans. So I don't mind Joe Manchin, doing the whole down the middle thing. If he's going to do what we need him to do most of the time, I'll take that in a state like in a super red state like West Virginia. I mean, imagine if we had a Joe Manchin in y'all's state, South Carolina or Arkansas, or if we had just a couple more Joe Manchins, we could get a lot more done. Even though he's going to hold up some things here and there. I mean, I think it's just really the alternative is a lot worse.
Yeah.
But I think it's just I think sometimes we have this expectation of we still want to be able to get 10 Republican votes in the Senate, but I think that party is becoming more and more disingenuous. It doesn't matter what we're proposing; they're going to say no, and so to try to keep capitulating to them and trying to keep getting them on board when we know it's going to be impossible, even if we have just the most wonderful bill, they're gonna not go along with it because they don't want us to seem like we're winning or we're governing effectively. So, I think at some point we do kind of have to play by their rules and say, we don't need the Republicans to get this done. We have to do what we know is right. They don't want to do what's right for the American people. They just want to line their pockets. All they care about is power. And so we have to kind of just ignore them to the extent that we can. But and this one's for you, Derek, because Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont said he's not running and he supports Joe Biden. So you said you're not ready to support Joe Biden's reelection bid just yet. Do you wish that Bernie Sanders was running again, or what's more your kind of candidate?
Yeah, so when Bernie Sanders was running, I certainly was supporting Bernie Sanders. He was speaking more of my language. And, the fact that Bernie Sanders is supporting Joe Biden this early on, I mean, that does weigh heavy in my decision-making process. And I think it does with a lot of other people, which is why I think Bernie Sanders is already endorsing at this point. And so, but I would much rather a Bernie Sanders candidate. And perhaps maybe Bernie Sanders is in Joe Biden's ear and some other folks' ears who can make things happen that we want to see happen as American people. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I think, most Democrats would probably prefer someone like Bernie Sanders. I voted for Bernie in the 2016 primary. Obviously, I voted for Hillary in the general. And I voted for Elizabeth Warren in the 2020 primary, and then obviously voted for Joe Biden. I think in the primary, you vote your heart. And then in the general, you do what you got to do, because as Joe Biden always so truthfully says, don't compare me to the almighty, compare me to the alternative. Yeah. And if we don't have Joe Biden in there, then, I mean, just imagine. I mean, I think we're all horrified at the 4 years that Trump was president. Imagine if Trump had another 4 years. If he was president right now, I mean, just imagine. I don't even want to. I think we don't have to work very hard to do it. But Isaac, what do you think about Bernie, bowing out early, saying, "Hey, look, I'm out of this one. Joe's the president. I support him." Do you think that is a good thing or a bad thing for Democratic politics?
I think it's a good thing. It shows that we are trying to be unified as a party at the national level. But it does not come without something to be given. Bernie Sanders is a smart man, so he's setting himself up for something. If it comes this early, it's not just that he's supporting him just off of some whim that he's the one that can beat Donald Trump. He's supporting him with some kind of gift back if Joe Biden wins the presidency again. But it does show that our party is unified and that we're standing behind Joe Biden to continue to fight for the soul of America, and which we still need to be fighting for that every day.
All right, and for each of you, in one word, I want you to tell me, if Bernie Sanders were the nominee in 2020, would he have beaten Donald Trump? Obviously, this is just opinion, but just yes or no, Isaac, would Sanders have beaten Trump in 2020?
No.
Derek?
He would have. Yes.
All right, there you have it. When we come forward, I wanna get more into this conversation about our potential presidential nominees and maybe Derek's potential choice, Nikki Haley. When we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580, we're going to talk about Nikki Haley talking about how abortion, that there does need to be the federal government does need to be involved in the abortion conversation. We're going to talk about that when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
If you're not listening to Tavis Smiley weekday mornings on KBLA Talk 1580, you're missing out. Everybody wants to talk to Tavis.
That's one reason, by the way, why I'm so thrilled to have this conversation with you today. The three people I always most hoped would interview me were Phil Donahue, Studs Terkel, and Tavis Smiley. Donahue's retired, Terkel's deceased, so this is a real thrill for me. And the reason why I have such respect for what you do is you have a historically informed conversation of depth and detail.
Be sure to tune in to Tavis Smiley weekday mornings, 9 a.m. to 12 noon on your unapologetically progressive radio station, KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. This is a rather bold pronouncement, but we think we can back it up. If you come across a radio frequency anywhere putting more variety and more diversity on the air than KBLA Talk 1580, we sure would like to hear about your discovery.
You got to have vision.
You can search, but we are confident that you won't find more shows covering more topics, hosted by a more diverse and inclusive lineup of talkers than the squad we have assembled here at KBLA Talk 1580.
This is the time, brothers. This is the time.
We've got something for everybody.
That's right.
Health and healing, history and humor, issues and events, empowerment and entertainment, all in one station.
What's really going on?
Free enterprise, you dig? KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes.
Oh yeah. We got a lot to talk about.
King Kong ain't got on me. Good stuff, the brand new flavor in your head.
Race, social justice, sports, politics, art, music, culture. We do it all on the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show. If you're not tuning in, then you are definitely missing out. It's the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show, weekdays from 2 to 4 only on unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580.
Like a brand new flavor in your head.
Is the pen mightier than the sword?
They say the pen is mightier than the sword. At KBLA Talk 1580, we not only have a lot to talk about, we have a lot to write about. Politics, relationships, business, empowerment, and culture. The all-star roster at KBLA Talk 1580 has you covered.
That's what it's all about.
Be sure to follow us on all our socials for our latest book releases, op-eds, essays, and commentaries from our hosts. And, of course, download the KBLA 1580 app as we strive to remain your most trusted, credible, and reliable source for the issues you care about. This is unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
What up, baby?
Tell me of the boys and girls who are young, gifted, and black.
I'm young, gifted, and black.
And that's a fact.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
Hey there, I'm Jared Hill, president of the National Association of Black Journalists of Los Angeles, and I just want to say thank you for the benevolent $10,000 donation and scholarships for the next generation of Black journalists.
And I'm Haywood Galbraith, photojournalist and founder of the Minority Photojournalism Institute. Thanks, KBLA, for your generous $10,000 scholarship gift to help us train the next generation of Black photojournalists.
Congratulations to all the students who will benefit from the scholarship dollars raised at our Black History Month luncheon, honoring Black legends in LA media. When we come forward at KBLA Talk 1580, we're bringing everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us.
Connection established. Access granted.
In a survey conducted by the public opinion research firm Eviderus, KBLA Talk 1580 consistently emerged as the station of choice for Black audiences in the Los Angeles media market and beyond. The survey also revealed that the vast majority of Black audiences are concerned about the lack of Black-owned media and are more likely to listen to talk radio that focuses on issues that impact the Black community. For some reason, the other talk stations haven't quite figured that out.
If you think about KFI, well, KFI only has like a 3% Black listenership. 3%. So there's a good 97% out there to support a station like KBLA.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your Black. Your Black. Your Black.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at KBLA 1580.
Follow the leader.
Are you ready?
The station leading the way with exclusive interviews,
Follow the leader.
stimulating conversation, and intellectual discourse that empowers, enlightens, and informs.
Follow the leader.
Follow the leader at KBLA 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Keep following the leader. Follow 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 the leader.
Gotta stay fresh, my. I don't shop with a rest bar. Shop with a rest bar. Shop with a rest bar.
Have you visited us online for the grand opening of KBLA.store? For the best in new merch, gift ideas, books, media, and more, log on to KBLA.store. Be sure to check out our KBLA team favorites at KBLA.store today. That's KBLA.store for all the official merch on your favorite talk radio station, KBLA Talk 1580.
The bounce is back.
If you're not listening to Tavis Smiley weekday mornings on KBLA Talk 1580, you're missing out. Everybody wants to talk to Tavis.
That's one reason, by the way, why I'm so thrilled to have this conversation with you today. The three people I always most hoped would interview me were Phil Donahue, Studs Terkel, and Tavis Smiley. Donahue's retired, Terkel's deceased, so this is a real thrill for me. And the reason why I have such respect for what you do is you have a historically informed conversation of depth and detail.
Be sure to tune in to Tavis Smiley weekday mornings, 9 a.m. to 12 noon on your unapologetically progressive radio station, KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. This is a rather bold pronouncement, but we think we can back it up. If you come across a radio frequency
Forward on Areva Martin in real time. I'm Avi Bernard in for Areva tonight, and we are joined by the South Carolina Connection, Derek Quarles, political and social activist, and Isaac Wilson, Democratic strategist and chair of the Democratic Party of Florence County, South Carolina. And since we have the South Carolina Connection here today, I want to talk about y'all's governor and potentially Derek's presidential pick, Nikki Haley. She had some comments about abortion. She has announced her bid for the Republican nominee. The Republican presidential nominee. And so she said she does see a federal role in the debate over abortion rights, but stops short of endorsing a national ban on the procedure. But at the same time, she's saying that Roe versus Wade, all that it did was give the states their ability to choose on abortion. So does she want the states to be able to choose, or does she want the federal government to be involved? It sounds like she wants the federal government to be involved if they're going to be banning abortion, but not if they're going to be protecting abortion. So, all right, Derek, how's Nikki doing in terms of trying to get your vote with this speech here?
Yeah, she won't have my vote at all. She was a horrible governor, and I think she'd be an even worse president. But I think her comments today around abortion, I think she was trying to kind of ride the middle of the road. She was not trying to like sway to the left, to the right. But she'd mentioned that she has a friend who was raped, and her friend was afraid that she would become pregnant. And so she understood her friend's story, and so it was personal for her. And so I don't know if Nikki Haley is going. I don't know which way she's going to go with this. I mean, because as you mentioned just a minute ago, it's like she wants to go be for abortions, but she's also against abortions, and she wants the states to be involved. She wants the federal government to be involved. It's like she doesn't really know what she wants to do, and so I couldn't support anybody who I wouldn't support anyways, but I certainly couldn't support anybody who will speak out both sides of their mouth.
So, Isaac, your former governor, Nikki Haley, what do you make of these comments?
I think they're trash. And I think it's just like the Democratic Party, just like the Republican Party. They try to confuse the people. And they never give you a straight answer on anything, and they leave the people to guess what they're trying to do until they get the masses in one way or another. Then they follow behind the masses of the people. So Nikki Haley is just playing along with this Republican card. She won't get far. Anyway, once Donald Trump gets in and really starts hitting the campaign trail, he will dog her, he will trash her, and we won't hear anything from Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley is essentially not running for president. She's running to be a VP nod at this point. And if Tim Scott gets in, that goes even downward once he jumps in the race officially, because he would be probably the best option for VP for Donald Trump when you go forward for this next presidential cycle.
Okay, let's talk about that though. I know that Tim Scott is from your state, so he's your boy. But I mean, you think he would be the most logical pick for Trump?
In my opinion. I
don't know. I mean, Tim Scott seems like more of a traditional, more reasonable, if you can even call Republicans that, more reasonable in terms of, not being inflammatory and saying the quiet part out loud. And he is a black man, and even though he doesn't stand up for black people, I mean, he I don't know. I mean, I don't know how he would mesh with Donald Trump. Why do you think he's a logical choice?
Because of all the reasons you just said. He can maybe in some form keep Donald Trump on a level basis, in some form behind the doors, and then not make these incendiary things about policy and all this other rhetoric that he makes about policy. He can be that policy guy for Donald Trump. And he's been in the Senate for a long time or whatnot. So I just think he would be the logical pick. And if he wants to earn African-American votes around the country, Republican black votes, there you go. They could come on board to say, hey, I'm voting for not Donald Trump, but I'm voting for the man behind Donald Trump. That if something were to happen, we would have someone that we believe in a Tim Scott, that can take over this country and mellow it out.
All right, so Derek, you said you're not going to vote for Nikki. Are you going to vote for Tim Scott, or what's the deal? Do you think he'd be a good VP candidate for Trump?
Yeah, I don't agree with Isaac. I don't think he would be a good VP. In fact, I don't think anybody could be a good VP than Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is he's Donald Trump, and
he's Donald Trump.
Even with Mike Pence as his VP, like Mike Pence couldn't do certain things unless Donald Trump gave him the head nod, like the head nod of approval. And so I don't know if anybody want to be Donald Trump's VP, because in my opinion, if Tim Scott were the VP, he'd be Donald Trump's, boy. And I say boy like they said back in the day, like he'd be his boy, is African American, and so. And so I don't think Donald Trump, I don't think that anybody would be a great VP to Donald Trump. But I will also say this: I would much rather see Donald Trump than DeSantis be the Republican nominee.
Okay, so we're getting a little more closer to getting the answer about who you might vote for. Okay, I got you. But speaking of Mike Pence, Trump did kind of try to murder him. They were screaming, "Hang Mike Pence," and Trump was like, people over there, are they wrong? They're kind of not wrong.
I mean, they had it there. They had it outside of January 6th thing for them to hang him. Yeah.
I mean, Trump wasn't going to step in and stop it from happening. He was kind of on board with that. So I don't know. I agree with you on that one, Derek. I don't know if anybody would be a good VP pick for Trump. No one can keep him in line. No. And he's going to turn on you eventually if you don't do everything he wants to do. He's like that person, you can do 5 favors for him. When you don't do the 6th, it It's like you never did anything, and they just gonna turn on you.
I think Tim Scott, yeah, he from South Carolina, but the boy might be hey, Trump, you ain't gonna talk to me like that. Hey,
come on now.
I don't know.
You think Tim gonna say something like that?
Yeah, I don't know, Tim. But hey, bro. Hey, take it easy.
You talking about Jim Scott from Watts? Who you talking about? You're not talking about Tim Scott.
Well, he ain't talking about Tim Scott. He ain't be talking about Tim Scott.
Hey.
You talking about Jim Scott?
Yeah, sure. That brother card.
South Central, not South Carolina. All right, so yeah, I know you, Derek. You mentioned that you'd rather see Trump be the nominee than DeSantis. That's interesting, because your boy DeSantis is in the news all the time, and I do want to talk about that comment you made. Why you would prefer Trump to be the nominee than DeSantis, and we're going to talk about that, and of course the news today that I forget which, I think it might have been the New York Times, but one of the news outlets had a headline that said "Man versus Mouse," because DeSantis is being sued by Disney. He's being sued by Mickey Mouse, essentially. So I want to talk about that suit and whether or not Trump is a preferable candidate over DeSantis when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Mightier than the sword.
They say the pen is mightier than the sword. At KBLA Talk 1580, we not only have a lot to talk about, we have a lot to write about. Politics, relationships, business, empowerment, and culture. The all-star roster at KBLA Talk 1580 has you covered.
That's what it's all about.
Be sure to follow us on all our socials for our latest book releases, op-eds, essays, and commentaries from our hosts. And, of course, download the KBLA 1580 app as we strive to remain your most trusted, credible, and reliable source for the issues you care about. This is unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
What up, baby?
Tell me of the boys and girls who are young, gifted, and black.
I'm young, gifted, and black.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
Hey there, I'm Jared Hill, president of the National Association of Black Journalists of Los Angeles, and I just want to say thank you for the benevolent $10,000 donation and scholarships for the next generation of black journalists.
And I'm Haywood Galbraith, photojournalist and founder of the Minority Photojournalism Institute. Thanks, KBLA, for your generous $10,000 scholarship gift to help us train the next generation of black photojournalists.
Congratulations to all the students who will benefit from the scholarship dollars raised at our Black History Month luncheon, honoring black legends in LA media. When we come forward at KBLA Talk 1580, we're bringing everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us.
Connection established. Access granted.
In a survey conducted by the public opinion research firm Eviderus, KBLA Talk 1580 consistently emerged as the station of choice for black audiences in the Los Angeles media market and beyond. The survey also revealed that the vast majority of black audiences are concerned about the lack of black-owned media and are more likely to listen to talk radio that focuses on issues that impact the black community. For some reason, the other talk stations haven't quite figured that out.
If you think about KFI, well, KFI only has like a 3% black listenership. 3%. So there's a good 97% out there to support a station like KBLA.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. Your black. Your black.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at KBLA 1580.
Follow the leader.
Are you ready?
The station leading the way with exclusive interviews,
Follow the leader.
stimulating conversation, and intellectual discourse that empowers, enlightens, and informs.
Follow the leader.
Follow the leader at KBLA 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Keep following the leader. Follow 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 the leader.
Gotta stay fresh, my house shot with a red spot. Shot with a red spot. Shot with a red spot.
Have you visited us online for the grand opening of KBLA.store? For the best in new.
It's Areva Martin in real time. I'm Avi Bernard in for Areva today. And we are joined by Isaac Wilson, Democratic strategist and chair of the Democratic Party of Florence County, South Carolina, and Derek Quarles, political and social activist. So I want to talk to you guys about Ron DeSantis. Walt Disney Parks and Resorts today sued Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and his hand-picked oversight board, accusing the Republican 2024 presidential prospect of weaponizing his political power to punish the company for exercising its free speech rights. You know, DeSantis always says things like, Florida is where woke goes to die, and, you know, trying to get involved in all these culture war issues. And now he's in a fight with Disney. I am failing to see how this is beneficial to anyone. But Derek, what are your thoughts?
I think that anybody that goes up against Disney is a fool. You know, when you look at the number of kids, myself included, who grew up watching Disney, and even adults who grew up who watch Disney, and then for the governor of Florida to attack Disney, to restrict Disney from being able to do what they've always done, exercise and what everybody has the right to do, their First Amendment right of free speech. I think it's a travesty. I think it's also a stunt, a political stunt on behalf of DeSantis to get into the media. We all know that he loves media attention, regardless of whether it's positive or negative attention. He likes being in the news, and in his mind, he thinks that this is positive because he's getting the media, the attention of the media. But clearly, he is making a mistake, and he's going to have to pay for it.
All right, Isaac. I mean, I feel like sometimes these Republican leaders, they see a company like Disney and they think it's a woke company, but I feel like there are a lot of Republican families who still watch Disney. And, you know, when you're getting involved in a fight like this, you're kind of putting them in a difficult position, because now are they supposed to boycott Disney? And what if their kids love Disney and their kids don't understand all these issues and they just want to watch Toy Story, or, you know, they want to watch, you know, Mickey Mouse. They want to watch the Disney Channel, but instead, you know, they got to go to another source because their dad, you know, doesn't like that Disney includes, you know, queer characters sometimes. So, is this a winning issue for DeSantis, Isaac?
It's not a winning issue. It's ignorant, to be honest. Ignorant and stupid, to be honest. We know the only reason why DeSantis went after Disney was because he had just come out with, you know, the whole lay of the land with the LGBTQ stuff, and Disney said that, hey, we're working my doors to him. And then right then, DeSantis said, oh, nope, I don't care how much money you gave me for my campaigns. We're going to go against you. And so I don't know what took Disney. They got good lawyers. Got to have good lawyers to be Disney. I don't know what took them so long to file a lawsuit against him. You know, the man just literally came and took their company and said that we're going to be over it. So I just think it's not a winning issue. It's something that you don't need to be talking about, just like drag. Who cares? You want to dress up in a wig, you want to dress up and go dance. Cares. It has nothing to do with the quality of life for Floridians that are trying to get more money in their paychecks, that are trying to get lower cost of prescriptions, that are trying to talk about education and get their kids better education. That has nothing to do with that. But yet, again, Republicans throw something out there, throw a bone out there, get people behind it, and that becomes the majority stake for the Republican Party. And like Derek said, they like the news, so they want to be in the news so much. So it's not a winning issue. It's stupid and crazy on his behalf.
Yeah, and that's you know, you mentioned, you know, them banning drag shows, and I just find it so fascinating that they're so interested in that all the time. How does it affect your life? It doesn't affect your life. Yep. You're the one who's obsessed with this. They're just trying to hang out on their own, not do anything that involves you, and you want to be all.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating.
It makes me wonder, though, all these men that are talking about drags and making it such an important issue. It makes me wonder.
Yeah,
but I'll leave that there. Yeah, I'll leave that there.
I mean, you can leave it right there, and I think we all can pick it up and keep going with it, because obviously, when you're obsessed with something like that, you probably got some stuff deep down that you haven't resolved, and you know, you probably are a little upset that other people have the courage to live the life that they want to live, and you're not, and you feel like you can't, and you were probably raised by someone who didn't let you, and you know, made you feel like you would be cast out if you did live the life you want to live.
Right.
But you know, speaking of DeSantis, he hasn't officially officially come out and said he's running for president in 2024 yet. But why is it though? Derek, you mentioned you'd rather have Trump as the Republican nominee than DeSantis. Why is that?
So though DeSantis has not officially declared his role as in running for president, he did yesterday hire in South Carolina a person to be his exploratory campaign lead person in South Carolina, who happens to work for Bob Jones University, and we know the history of Bob Jones University, and so
well, tell us for those who aren't familiar with Bob Jones University, what's the history?
Yeah, so Bob Jones University, located in Greenville, South Carolina, is a very conservative four-year institution. The founder, Bob Jones, was a known racist who opened the school and allowed only white people to attend the school, which is a Christian university. And over time, it's evolved. And in fact, just about 2 weeks ago, the president resigned because the president was a little more progressive. But he's the first president of the institution who's not related to Bob Jones. And he's a little more progressive than what they were used to. And the students and the board chairman had a disagreement about more progressive issues, because the students obviously have changed their minds about a lot of issues. And so the president ended up resigning from the school because him and the board chairman had some disagreements, and then the students protested on the campus, which has never happened at Bob Jones, and so the board chairman resigned from Bob Jones University. And so
wow, so you had a university founded by a known racist that has, since its founding, it's been the same kind of school. It hasn't turned into some liberal bastion, but you still had a progressive president there somehow.
Yeah. And now with the students, I mean, because they have now allowed, like, Black people to attend the school, other races to attend the school. They've now allowed. Oh man,
thank God, we're so lucky. Yeah. Thank God. Let us go there.
Hey, you may see one or two on the campus, but even still, like today, like the ladies, they still wear these long dresses down to their ankles, so it's still very much conservative. However, they have allowed more progressive students to enroll in the school, and those students have had conversations with their friend to the right and saying, hey, these issues, like, we shouldn't be this far on the right about these issues. And so
I think they don't have a cheerleading squad then.
Yeah. Oh no. Oh, not at all. No.
All right. So you mentioned Bob Jones University and Ron DeSantis getting an exploratory committee started in South Carolina. So why is it that you think Trump would be better?
Trump doesn't really understand policy, and Trump really he wakes up in the morning and he sees what's hot in the media and and that's what he runs with. DeSantis is a more he plans things. He's more intentional about the policies that he's discussing. For example, how he's banned in schools in Florida that you can't talk about sexual reproduction. You can't talk about
don't say gay. Mm-hmm.
You can't right. He's even trying to stop HBCUs from being in Florida, and he's even gone so far to even ban sororities and fraternities, which we know are founded for Black people who needed a sense of belonging, who needed somewhere to go and hang out and feel like they belong. And we still need that sense of security, that sense of belonging. And he's trying to do away with that. And I'm a member of a fraternity, and we do a lot of community work, a lot of community service. And I don't know what his ideology is or his thinking is about sororities and fraternities that makes him want to ban them. But I mean, that's another battle that he's fighting that he shouldn't be fighting. And quite frankly, I don't think Donald Trump, as crazy and as ignorant as he is, I don't think that those are priorities on his list.
All right, so I do want to talk about this though, because I hear what you're saying, and I think you agree with that assessment, Isaac. But I do want to just ask you both about this side of it though, because while DeSantis does seem smarter and more manipulative, perhaps, he did just sign a 6-week ban into law in Florida, a 6-week abortion ban. And I can't see how that isn't devastating for him if he is to become the nominee, and how that will help him in the general election if he is to get there. I don't see that. I don't see how. And I don't think that's something Trump would have done. He's obviously not the governor of a state, but he has come out and talked about some of the misguided things that DeSantis has done. So what do you think about that? Do you think that issue, that his hard line issues like that might hurt him? And if you can give it to me in 30 seconds, Isaac.
I think it hurts him because he needs to rile up some of Donald Trump's people to get on his side. So he has to stay kind of middle of the road in saying, "Hey, I'm sane and I got some real issues, but here we're gonna throw this issue out here. Here's the bone that everybody's talking about. We're gonna sign it." And Donald Trump people come running. Maybe they come running, but he has to do something to rally those group of people who are extremists and MAGA happy. So I don't think it hurts him in the long run.
Okay, Derek, do you think that his hardline policies, specifically that 6-week abortion ban he just signed into law in Florida, do you think that kind of thing will hurt him in the general election? In 30 seconds.
I think it's going to hurt him because Donald Trump, as you mentioned, Donald Trump, that's not something he would have supported. And people that are supporting Donald Trump, in fact, DeSantis already has a low rating in the polls. And so I think this is even going to knock him down even further. We know polls don't vote, but polls can persuade folks and trick people into kind of like what they do, manipulate people into thinking one way or another. But I definitely think it's hurting DeSantis. And but I know he's trying to appeal to both sides, but this is not the time or the place to do that.
Well, gentlemen, it has been a pleasure speaking to you and getting your perspective. Derek Quarles, Isaac Wilson, really appreciate you joining us and looking forward to talking to you again soon.
Looking forward
Thanks.
to it.
All right, guys. In hour number 2, we're going to be talking to Olivier Bernier, who is the producer and director of an incredible documentary that I was able to watch. And I just can't stress enough how I think it's really important for you to watch it if you're able to. It's called Forget Me Not, Inclusion in the Classroom. It's about inclusive education for students with intellectual disabilities. We're going to be talking to Olivier Bernier and also Kim Williams, who is the mother of a student who has an intellectual disability and who they fought really hard to get inclusive education for. It's a conversation that I didn't even know was in existence before watching this documentary, but it's a really important conversation. And we're going to dive into that conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is a rather bold pronouncement, but we think we can back it up. If you come across a radio frequency anywhere putting more variety and more diversity on the air than KBLA Talk 1580, we sure would like to hear about your discovery.